The scent of fresh coffee and polished marble filled the lobby of the Grand Crest Hotel, one of Chicago's most prestigious downtown landmarks. Beneath the glittering chandeliers, business travelers in crisp suits scrolled through emails while jazz played softly from hidden speakers. At a corner table sat Ava Richardson, dressed simply in a navy dress and flats, her locks tied neatly behind her head. She looked out the window, watching the city pulse with life. To anyone glancing her way, she was just another traveler grabbing breakfast before a meeting. No one could guess she'd just returned from London after being appointed the new CEO of the Grand Crest International Group, the very company that owned this hotel. She hadn't yet announced her role publicly. Her board wanted her to observe the staff experience incognito before the formal introduction next week, so she decided to stay as a regular guest, curious to see how her employees treated ordinary people. A waiter approached her table, young, maybe mid-20s, with slicked back hair and the nervous confidence of someone still learning the ropes. His name tag read, "Ivan." "Good morning," Ava said warmly. "Could I get the breakfast special, please? And black coffee." Ivan nodded, but his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. He barely made eye contact, scribbling on his pad. "Sure. Anything else?" "That'll be all. Thank you," she replied, still smiling. He walked away briskly. Ava noticed the difference immediately. The next table over, a pair of white businessmen, got an entirely different version of Evan. His grin stretched wide, his tone was cheerful. "Good morning, gentlemen. Would you like the omelet with extra cheese today?" "Chef's doing something special?" Ava's stomach twisted. It wasn't her first time feeling this, the quiet sting of being seen but unseen. But she brushed it off. She had a bigger mission here. When her plate arrived, she was already on a call reviewing figures from the European branch. She didn't look down right away, not until the faint smell hit her. The scrambled eggs had dark green spots across the edge of the plate. The toast was stale and damp, like it had been left out overnight. She blinked, stunned, thinking maybe it was just lighting. But when she leaned closer, there was no doubt. Mold, her voice stayed calm. "Excuse me, Ivan." He turned, irritation flickering across his face. "Yes? This food. It looks spoiled." She tried to sound gentle, not confrontational. He sighed audibly, glancing at the plate with a dismissive shrug. "It's fine, ma'am. The chef said it's from this morning." Ava tilted her head slightly. "Would you eat this?" Ivan hesitated, his jaw tightening. "Look, if you don't like it, I can take it back. But you did ask for the special, and it's non-refundable once served." A hush passed through the nearby tables. A couple of guests glanced over, curious. Ava smiled faintly, her voice calm as still water. "Please do take it back, and I'll just have some coffee instead." He muttered under his breath, something about always complaining, before grabbing the plate and walking away. For a moment, Ava sat there quietly, taking a slow sip of her now lukewarm coffee. She wasn't angry, just disappointed. The kind of disappointment that runs deeper than frustration. An older server, Maria, her silver hair tied in a bun, passed by and paused when she saw the plate Evan had set down at the service counter. She frowned deeply, then approached Ava's table. "Mom, I'm so sorry," she said softly. "That food should never have been served. Please allow me to get you something fresh on the house." Ava looked up and met her eyes. There was sincerity there, no pretense, no fear, just genuine care. "Thank you, Maria," Ava said warmly. "But you don't need to. Please." The woman insisted gently. "You remind me of my daughter. I wouldn't want her treated this way." Ava felt a lump rise in her throat. "All right then," she said softly. "I'd appreciate that." 10 minutes later, Maria returned with a steaming, fresh plate. Perfectly plated eggs, golden toast, fruit glistening like jewels.
"Enjoy, sweetheart,"
she said, setting it down. Ava smiled. "Thank you, Lee." As she ate, she noticed Evan glaring from across the room. He seemed tense, pacing near the counter. Ava finished her breakfast, left a generous tip for Maria, and walked to the front desk to check out. But before she could, the general manager, Mr. Harrison, approached. He was tall, sharp-suited, and clearly stressed. He asked cautiously. Ava raised an eyebrow. "Yes." He glanced around, lowering his voice. "We just received a call from corporate headquarters. The new CEO is supposed to arrive today. I wanted to make sure everything's perfect, but we've been short-staffed." "Oh," she said, trying to hide her amusement. "And are you ready for her?" He chuckled nervously. I hope so. She's apparently visiting incognito before the announcement. We're told to treat every guest as if they were her. Ava smiled slowly. That sounds wise. He nodded, clearly missing the glimmer in her eyes. If you'll excuse me, I'll go check the staff briefing. Enjoy your stay! Moments later, a meeting was called in the staff lounge. Ava followed quietly, unnoticed among the crowd. Mr. Harrison stood at the front, clipboard in hand. All right, everyone, listen up. The new CEO of Grand Crest International is arriving today, though we don't know when or in what form. She may already be here. So, from this moment, professionalism is priority one. Whispers rippled through the team. Even leaned over to another waiter. Watch, she's probably some corporate snob who's never even served a drink in her life. Ava's lips curved slightly. Harrison continued, let's make a great impression. Every guest, every plate, every smile matters. When the meeting ended, Ava stepped forward. Excuse me, she said softly. Could I have a word? The staff turned. Evan frowned, recognizing her. You again. The manager gave him a sharp look. Avan, respect. Ava held up a hand. It's fine. She stepped forward and placed her purse on the counter. Then, with calm authority, she spoke, the tone of someone used to commanding rooms far larger than this one. I was served moldy food this morning, she said evenly. When I pointed it out, I was dismissed. No apology, no concern for health or dignity. Only rudeness. The room fell silent. Evan's face drained of color. Maria looked down, shaking her head sadly. I told him to check the trays before serving, ma'am. Ava nodded. Yes, Maria, and you handled it beautifully. Thank you for your kindness. The manager straightened nervously. Ms. Richardson, I assure you, this is not our standard. But she interrupted gently. I know, because I own this standard. She reached into her bag, pulled out a sleek black folder, and opened it to reveal the official CEO appointment letter, signed, sealed, and dated. The Grand Crest logo shimmered on the header. I'm Ava Richardson, she said softly. As of this week, I am the new CEO of Grand Crest International. Gasp filled the room. Evan's knees seemed to buckle slightly, his mouth fell open. Ava looked directly at him. You served me this morning. Tell me, Evan, if I hadn't been the CEO, if I were just another guest, would I deserve better? He stammered. I didn't mean. I thought. She held up a hand again. I'm not angry, but I want you to think carefully. Every person who walks into this hotel, every color, every accent, every background, deserves respect. The moment we forget that, we fail as human beings, not just as employees. Tears glistened in Maria's eyes. A few others nodded, their expressions solemn. Ava continued, her voice soft but steady. Leadership isn't about titles, it's about service. And service begins with humanity. The silence in the room was heavy, but not uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that meant something had shifted. She turned to the manager. Mr. Harrison, please schedule training for all hospitality staff, not just in customer service, but in empathy. And Maria? She smiled. I'd like you to lead it. Maria's hand flew to her chest. Meh! You have the heart for it, Ava said. And heart is what we need most. Evan swallowed hard. Richardson, he said finally, voice trembling. I'm sorry, I really am, I didn't realize. Ava studied him for a moment, then nodded. Apology accepted. But remember, realization means little if it doesn't change behavior. I believe people can grow. Show me I'm right. He nodded quickly, shame and gratitude mingling on his face. As Ava turned to leave, the staff watched her with newfound respect, not because of her title, but because of her presence. Later that evening, as the city lights flickered outside her suite window, Ava wrote a note on hotel stationery and left it on the nightstand. Greatness in service isn't about perfection. It's about grace, even when no one's watching. When the cleaning staff found it the next morning, the note spread quietly through the hotel, pinned to the staff board, photographed, shared. And from that day on, something subtle but powerful changed at the Grand Crest. Waiters smiled more sincerely. Guests were greeted like old friends. And somewhere in the back kitchen, Evan made sure every plate that left his hands was flawless. He never forgot the woman who'd eaten his moldy breakfast and taught him what true leadership looked like.